The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, the PURC, says it will be forced to sanction management of the Ghana Water Company Limited if it goes ahead to shut down the Pond Water Works. The PURC says the impending shutdown would worsen the current water situation in the capital, Accra. It has therefore requested the Ghana Water Company Limited to respond to a directive to suspend the Pond shutdown by Monday. Nana Ya Jantua, Director of Public Relations and External Affairs of the PURC, spoke on Top Story on JFM.
Meanwhile, the acute water shortage that has hit parts of Accra could be a cause of a disease outbreak, as residents are being compelled to rely on water from all sorts of sources for their daily upkeep. The Ghana Health Service is therefore warning the public to treat water properly by boiling or filtering before using water, and also to be very much wary of the food they patronize outside.
An acute water shortage has hit parts of Accra, compelling residents to walk long distances, while others join long winding queues at various places for water. The shortage, which started 4 days ago, has caused considerably inconvenience to people who spend many hours searching for water. But in the midst of all these struggles is how wholesome the water currently available to residents is. Most residents of the capital have now resorted to all means, from dug-out wells to water tanker providers. Some food vendors who spoke to the news team off camera said they have had to rely on sachet water or water tankers to prepare their meals. They could not confirm as to how wholesome the water from the water tanker providers is, but indicated they had no option but to use them in the preparation of their meal.
The water you take in, either through drinking or in cooking, must be wholesome, which means that you should make sure that that water is free of disease. So I would like to entreat them that boil the water if you are not sure of the source, and if you see that it doesn't look so well and you cannot buy water that has already been treated, then boil it, cool it before drinking.
It is estimated that about 84,000 Ghanaians die every year from waterborne diseases, and it is feared the current shortage could lead to a major outbreak of diseases.
If anybody comes down with diarrhea, that is passing loose stools or more stools than you normally do, it will be necessary to go straight to a health facility to be seen and treated. It's very important that whatever you eat, you are careful of it. So if you're going to buy food to eat, first of all, look at the environment, the surrounding in which the food is being sold. Look at the water that is being used to clean the plates, especially for those who sit to eat at the places that they sell the food. Once you are doing this, you should buy water if you have to clean the plates, make them good for the people who are going to buy your food and eat.
However, Water Resource Works and Housing Minister Collins Dauda, who visited the water plant on Wednesday night to assess the extent of repair works on a burst pipeline which has resulted in the water shortage in the western part of Accra, has assured residents of the affected areas that supply should normalize by Thursday morning.
Meanwhile, more residents are finding alternative means to get potable water. Children have been particularly affected as they are made to sacrifice their sleep and miss classes in some cases just to get water for the house. Dorcas Ankuma reports.
It's 8 a.m. on a Thursday in Accra. Ideally, these children should be in the classrooms, but they are not. At Commando, a suburb of Accra New Town, they queue for hours to get water due to a shortage in water supply in parts of the capital. They say the situation is affecting the academic work. Priscilla Duce has not been to school since Wednesday. She joined this queue as early as 6 a.m., a time she could have used to prepare for school. Instead, she is stuck here with the hope of getting some water for her mother to use for her porridge business.
Today, I won't go to school because of the water. We'll be selling porridge, so if I'm not able to fetch the water, I will get a little money to go to school. At the same time, it will affect I and my family too. School is very important, and at the same time, the water is also important. So the best way, at least, I have Friday, so I will fetch it today, and tomorrow too, I'll go to school.
Priscilla is not alone. These children are equally affected by the situation.
We came here since dawn time. We are not getting water to fetch. Now it's like we have made line around, but still the water is even getting finished by now.
Our school are giving us meeting because of the water shortage. I'm telling them to give us the water so that we can be able to fetch water and then go to school.
There's no water at home for me to bath to go to school. That's why I'm at home to get some water from my parents.
At Abeka Junction, we chanced upon another queue, this time in the middle of the Achimota Accra highway, where a desperate group was tapping from this pipe used to water the grass. Obviously, their safety was not of paramount concern.
Pipe mutuya and ama yebunso. Yeah, pipe papa until 2 area mu ano a had yeba because I main line. Yeah, so many years kulani na yebua into
Here too, children had to forgo school to search for water.
There's no water in the house, so I'm going to fetch water to get back to school, but because the line is too much, so I did not go to school today.
Because of the water, there is no water in the house, so I want water for my parents.
Parents who had queued at both places appealed to the water company to rectify the situation as soon as possible.
Yeah, government chose bra no boy. Suyo, yentimi juari, yentimi num, bread because in the 4 days, well, lying as I'm Kiswan, way.
I did this and Yaman almost yes, we are. Pipe no baby, am I? John Mama, on your bonibia, pipe and you know, too. Yeah, punish us, I say, one boy and one year, my.
Meanwhile, at Kwabenya ACP Junction, residents and business owners are resorting to the use of wastewater from a sachet water manufacturing company in that area. In an interview off camera, authorities of Royal and Super Limited said the pipe containing the wastewater was laid at the base of this gutter, but due to the scarcity of water in the area, residents have managed to pull out the pipe and are collecting the wastewater. The residents and business owners, however, say they use the wastewater for doing their laundry and dishes. This is Dorcas Ankuma's report for Joynews, Accra.
Well, and today too, Dorcas will be hitting town to get to see what the plight of residents of Accra is, and particularly how they are making do with the current state of water shortages. Meanwhile, the Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing, Alhaji Collins Dauda, says government is working on a long-term plan to solve the country's perennial water supply problems. He has meanwhile assured the current difficulties hitting Accra should be resolved by the end of February.
Water, energy, the two basic necessities of life. These two have become the much sought after in Ghana for some time now. It's either power supply is disrupted or water has to be rationed according to a certain schedule.
It is very, very clear that in the past we've also had challenges with the vandalization of pipelines across the country. It is up to the board to help make sure that we can come up with strategies to ensure that the pipelines are protected.
Energy and water have become the core message of politicians, a message that runs through every manifesto of political parties seeking power. However, the picture doesn't seem to change. The same problem recurring regime after regime with no permanent solution in sight. One reason or the other has been attributed to the perennial energy disruption in the country. It's either caused by shortage of gas and financial difficulties of the VRA, which makes it difficult to procure the right quantities of crude oil and diesel to bring all their plants into operation, or the crisis was caused by low levels of water in the Akosombo Dam.
During our period in office, the lake failed, because of the periodic drought that it has gone through. With the failure of the lake meant that our biggest generating source had actually failed, was now in a position not to be able to deliver any power at all.
When somebody tells you we have generated an extra 376 capacity and is unprecedented, it is not the truth.
People have been in power for 8 years. What did he do? Today they are telling us solution to whatever. What did he do? They rather brought in toys. That never worked. That was not powered. They brought in some plans that never worked.
For the past 6 days, over 70 communities in the Greater Accra and some parts of the Central Region have been hit by acute water shortage. This is not new, a very frequent occurrence. People have therefore adopted several means to gain access to water. Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing, Collins Dauda, says government at the moment is adopting short-term plans to resolve the situation while it plans for a long-term solution.
These interventions include a pond water system that is being built that we expect to be completed at the end of this year. We also have the Acquah Rural that is also bringing on board 12.3 million gallons of water a day, and also the desalination plant at Teshi that will also bring in 30 million gallons of water a day. If you put this together, we are going to have about 158 million gallons of water a day at the end of this year.
He adds it is uncertain that the country will ever find a permanent solution.
It's a difficult question. It is our wish as a government that everybody has access to safe, affordable, and reliable water. That is the vision of His Excellency the President. But to do it requires a lot of effort, a lot of investment.
At Galamsey, Joy News.
The Accra Metropolitan Assembly has been ordered to stop dumping human waste at the Gono Beach in Accra. The order follows a suit brought against the AMA and its chief executive, Mr. Alfred Oko van der Poy. The Environmental Protection Agency, Justice K.O. Foriata, who presided over the case, ordered that the AMA and the chief executive should refrain from dumping raw liquid sewage on the Gono Beach, popularly called Lavender Hill.
Officials of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority at the Tema Port are calling for deployment of more officers and logistics to enable them to operate efficiently. They contend that 651 officers currently working there are not enough to effectively manage the 132 warehouses at the Tema Port.
We can do with about 50, 60 more because we have about 132 warehouses. And ideally, every warehouse should have an officer. And we have about 80 free zones. Ideally, and we don't have that one. Now, an officer takes care of maybe 8 or 9 warehouses, which is not the best. Because while she's working here, the other people might call him from another warehouse and that sort of thing. We have serious challenge with personnel. Then the tools to work with. If they have this 132 warehouses, and we have only few vehicles that you have to go up and down with. Because if you have to, in a day, if I have to do a declaration of 5 40-footer containers, it's a tedious work. And I want to do effective 100% examination. It's quite hectic. And just like Parks and Gardens stays their budget to finance and they cut it, that's how we also take our budget and they'll cut it according to the money available in Ghana.
Now, 3 people died instantly while 2 others sustained injuries after they were trapped in a Galamsey pit at Nyanalso in the Echemampo-Mponua district of the Ashanti region. The 3, a female and 2 males, met their untimely death when the Galamsey pit they were working in caved in. Here's a report by Mahmoud Mohammed Noruddin.
The incident, which happened on Monday morning, left residents in the area shocked. Relatives of the deceased wailed at the news of the demise of their relatives. The deceased were identified as Ajay Teria, 42, Agatha Foriwa, 43, and Yao Entry, 26. Joy News gathered the Galamseyers went to the mining site in search of gold. Unfortunately, the pit under which they were mining caved in on them. 3 died instantly, while 2 people who sustained injuries are responding to treatment. The bodies of the deceased have since been deposited at the morgue.
ActionAid Ghana, with support from the Canadian High Commission, has introduced a Girls Not Bride project aimed at halting the practice of early marriage in some districts of the Upper West region. And reporter Rafiq Salam says the project is to give opportunity to girls who have been victims to get back to school.
The man came to my house and said that I should come. She will send me. I went there. The man sent me. One day, my mother said that I should go to that man. Then she asked her to bring yams, so I should go and bring it. I went there. The man closed the door and said that today she will rape me. I said no, she cannot rape me. That she will rape me. That day I was in my period. The man forced me and raped me. I was pregnant, but I gave birth.
Forced marriage or bride capture is a cultural practice in some districts of the Upper West region. Per the practice, a man has the right to capture a teenage girl without her consent to become his wife. He later sends delegation to inform the girl's family of his intentions to bring the dowry for marriage. The capture of these girls usually takes place at the markets or when the girl is on her way to or from school. The family of the captured girl has no right to protest her capture, as the practice usually happens among communities. Victims of this cultural practice in the 3 districts, namely Sisala East, Lambushi, Kani and Jirapa, numbering 120, were brought together by ActionAid Ghana with support from the Canadian High Commission for counseling to help put their lives back on track, especially after they have given birth at a tender age. George Derry is the Upper West Programs Director of ActionAid. The ActionAid Ghana Programs Director also raised some concerns about the practice.
Trying to unearth the causes, and I think we did a research and it revealed that poverty, cultural practices, and then social pressure are all responsible for the practice. So we are engaging the traditional House of Chiefs. We are engaging the Upper West Regional House of Chiefs. Once it's a cultural practice, it falls within their domain, and as custodians of culture, we believe that if they step their foot and make certain pronouncements, certain public pronouncements to that effect, then we can fight it and eliminate it completely from our communities.
A councillor at the Canadian High Commission, Deidre Kelly, threw more light on why the Canadian government is interested in the project.
Had really good support from not only the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but from the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. They're very active on this issue in terms of identifying what the challenges are. Why isn't the legislation working? What are the challenges with implementation? And they have participated on a working group that consists of different countries to try to see how the situation is different in each of the countries where it exists and how they need to tackle it. So again, we see it as a human rights abuse. And we're interested in terms of eliminating the human rights abuse that exists.
Rafiq Salam's report from Wa in the Upper West region.
Now, some students of the physically challenged school at Bichim in the Tano South district of the Bono Ahafo region have demonstrated over failure of school authorities to feed them. Their inability to chant or sing due to their disability did not stop them from making their case. The student marched to the district assembly where the DCE implored them to return to school, assuring them he will speak to the authorities. The plight of the student is being blamed on the delay in the release of feeding grants to special schools. The challenged student demonstrators spoke through a sign interpreter.
Different from
I wouldn't know the civil or more that kind different story. I want to say thing that you're all about the Casa. If you promo Crabbe said,
several kilometers away, probably taking a cue from recent prayers to stem the depreciation of the local currency. A group of Fetish Priests in the Nkranza South District, specifically the Bredi community of the Bunafu region, interceded in the situation with an offer of spiritual sacrifice. The priests, numbering over 10, are also calling on Muslims and Christian communities to join them in prayer. They believe that is the way Ghana can redeem itself from the current economic hardship. They have also attributed the city's woes and economic hardship to the sins of the population. According to them, the president should not be blamed for the current happenings, rather his appointees and parliamentarians who they say are failing to help him.